Today, I've got Abdellah Majd from Revel Realty Hamilton, and we are going to give you a Hamilton market update.
Let's jump into the stats here. We saw 460 sales on our board. In September, we saw a bit of an uptick, so at 3.2%. And then if you look to the right of that, in July, we saw a 13% decline. So obviously some heavy movement there. New listings, this has been the norm for quite some time. We're getting four-figure listing amounts flooding the market. Some opportunity. We're going to talk about on market, off market. So to jump into it, this one is currently off market. We're in the middle of restructuring majority of the leases. So 19 office units. We got 2 retail units facing James Street North, which is, one of the most prominent kind of business addresses you can have in Hamilton. And this one we just listed a couple days ago. It's actually a power of sale opportunities. Tons of commercial uses. You would definitely need to go through a zoning change to get it to residential, but I would say a very, seeing the price and the opportunity could be a very good land banking opportunity. And then last but not least, standard duplex on the mountain, bringing great rents, AAA tenants, zoned for an ADU in the rear as well. And this one's available off market, completely redone by our friends over at 555 Construction Management.
Welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I'm Adam J.D. Martin, your host, and today I've got Abdellah Majd from Revel Realty Hamilton, and we are going to give you a Hamilton market update that we know you've been waiting for about a year now. Abdellah's going to cover some of the numbers with us. We're going to look at the various market segments. We're going to look at single family, detached, townhouses, condos. We're going to see what's going on in terms of purchase price, days on market, and just how Hamilton's been responding in the past year. Looking forward to chatting with you guys. Abdellah, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time.
Great to be back. It's been a wild few months with business and some other ventures, keeping this brokerage growing. But never lost sight. Always figured to make my way back, and got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. See where this market's going. But buddy, happy to be back. Nice to see you, and I'm ready when you are. We can get rocking.
Let's do it, man. I'm excited to hear what you've been up to and what's going on in Hamilton.
Yeah, let's do it. So just a reminder, guys, Abdellah Majd, I am the operator at Revel Realty Inc. Out of Hamilton here. So a boutique brokerage of 45 agents and counting. Let's jump into the stats here. The last time I was on was probably end of 24. So it's been, I think, almost a full calendar year. This is how I present when we have our brokerage meetings here the last Thursday of every month. Do a half-hour session on stats, and they haven't been, these things aren't perfect just because of how the board kind of accumulates the statistics, but nonetheless gives you a pretty solid overview what's going on month to month. So if you look under the kind of snippets there, the number to the right will reflect the month over month previous. So this is coming into September, and then July into August. So just to give you a bit of a delta there between, over the course of like 3 months effectively. So let's start with the sales. We all know, right? Like, the stagnant sales numbers have been going on for quite some time. It's all what you make of it, more so on the production side. So in August, we saw 460 sales on our board. In September, we saw a bit of an uptick, so at 3.2%. And then if you look to the right of that, in July, we saw a 13% decline. Obviously, time of year, it made a lot of sense. And then the following 2 stats will paint a bigger picture. So obviously some heavy movement there across the month over month. New listings, this has been the norm for quite some time. We're getting four-figure listing amounts flooding the market every month. We saw a huge decline month to month prior. And then the difference coming into September basically wiped that out, and then some. Obviously going into the fall market. Let me just stop there for a sec. Like, I want to highlight the kind of generic knowledge behind, oh, I want to sell in the fall market. Oh, I want to sell in the spring market. The best way to put it right now is all that's really doing is flooding the market in inventory. We still don't have enough buyers out there. It's just it's simple lopsided supply and demand. Okay, so for those of you, even with your investment properties, right, a little bit different, obviously, because our rates are starting to slide again. Up here and down south. So from a cash flow perspective, from a kind of confidence perspective, a little different, but nonetheless, real estate is real estate. So just beware of that when we're talking about seasonality in 2025. Inventory, again, basically wiped out as we came into the fall market. Months of supply. So quick lesson here, 1 to 2 months that we saw in COVID, seller's market, 3 to 4 months of supply is a quote unquote balanced market. 5 to 6 months plus is a true buyer's market, which we've, been right in the thick of it for quite some time and likely some time to come. That months of supply hasn't changed. It's gone up marginally. Days on market's hovered, if I'm going back maybe 6 months, anywhere from 33 to 43 days, right? The days on market isn't this, it's definitely not the scary notion. This was pre-boom norm, that it would take 30 to 45 days to sell a home. That was very, very normal for, for those of you who might not have heard that before. And then the average residential average price, we're going to talk about benchmark pricing on the next slide, but that's the one thing, like you can see those numbers, right? We got a slight tick up at 1.1, and then virtually we're at par there coming into September, right? So despite the commotion, obviously there's a ton of outliers there with, power of sales and people going into default, which isn't as common as people might think out in viewership land there. But this price has been holding strong in the 760s and 770s across Hamilton. So just give you guys a snippet, a little catch up here on the Hamilton market from that end of things. I like to talk about the benchmarks, right? Just now we're talking, get these outliers kind of out of there. This is more from, a generic real estate standpoint as opposed to investment driven, which we'll get into a ton of it in the remaining slides. So the best way to put it, whether it's an investment or an end user, there has never been a smaller gap between a non-detached and a detached home.
Yeah, that's wild.
Right? So
yeah, that's really wild.
That's basically your August versus and then into September. And that's been a consistent theme for the last few months. Now it's about, okay, I relate it to investors that we deal with on a daily basis. Like if we can get into a try or a quad as opposed to 1 or a 2 for a variety of obviously different factors, mainly because of supply and demand. I relate it to an end user talking, okay, well, my next move is to get out of my condo, get into my row house, get into my semi-detached. Well, if you're patient enough, if you're looking in the right areas, if you're attacking the right listings, you might be able to get into a nice detached home far quicker than you thought, right? And I talk about that with agents and my my repeat investors. Just as early as yesterday, I had a client reach out. He's like, "Hey, I've got this assignment deal somebody called me about, but we don't want to, we just don't want to take it on right now." And I'm, we were start joking around about, you're a wholesaling expert, Adam. I think that landscape has changed mightily in Canada. I think you'd agree. I know you were a pioneer of that sector for quite some time, but nonetheless, he starts like, yeah, he's like, we would consider a duplex. And I told him, like, these, they're two clients of mine, they're brothers. They both make, good incomes. And at the end of the day, when we start talking about, okay, let's set our goals higher. Let's get into commercial lending, which we've touched on before, but just a quick side story. So just to give you a clear cut idea, condos are in a world of their own. That is just not a game that we play. Never got into the condo market. That's more for, the first time end user that wants, a super low debt load, which we're all after anyways. So next few slides, how we like to bring it from Hamilton. We're going to talk about some opportunity. We're going to talk about on market, off market. So to jump into it, and we've been talking about a lot more commercial opportunities in the last year or two on the channel, and that's where I've driven my business purposely or with purpose over the last few years, dating back to even my first year in the business. So this one is currently off market. We're in the middle of restructuring majority of the leases. So 19 office units on the second and third floor. And you got 2 retail units facing James Street North, which is, one of the most prominent kind of business addresses you can have in Hamilton. So fully tenanted. Now we're basically in recovery mode on the operating expenses and really sharpening that NOI. Brings in, well over 300 grand in gross revenue. Optimal CapEx is in great shape. The HVAC, the roof, the windows, and again, available off market. Mulberry Coffee House being its anchor tenant there, which is busy 24/7. I don't know, Adam, if you've ever been to that coffee shop when you've been down to our neck of the woods. But again, something that, can be transacted and something you won't find in the MLS currently. And again, this is a sheer lease restructuring kind of approach, just because everything else is already positioned very well.
That's a stunning building.
Yeah, and very like it's. I don't like words like iconic and stuff. I think they're a little funny, but this is truly iconic. There's not many people that don't know where this building is. It used to be the old Armory Hotel, and the way they've kind of redesigned it. It's got the offices are really cool. They're very affordable for small business owners. There's these 2-in-1 size units as well. They're fantastic. Multiple bathrooms and a kitchenette up there, and all very quiet too. So it's all lawyers and practitioners. So there's no all the neighbors get along there. It's a stunning building for sure.
Beautiful.
This one kind of same in terms of allure here. It's on Bold Street, so right off of James Street South, further south from the building we just chatted about. 5,500 square feet. This is an opportunity like no other. The reason why I say that is because of the offset. So main floor here can be sold to a business owner. Okay, it's about 1,500 square feet of rentable space there with a nice sized boardroom kitchenette. There are lawyers on the second floor there, an aesthetics business in the basement, and a really big 2-bedroom residential unit up top. Collectively brings in almost 90 grand a year outside of the unit that your business would be occupying. Again, the CapEx here, new roof, solid wrought iron kind of fire escape, forced air, central air, which is unheard of in this age of a building that dates back to the late 1800s. But again, just for any office kind of commercial office investors or somebody looking to do kind of an operator hack, kind of relative to living in a triplex and renting out the other 2 units, bringing in some solid figures here. Ample parking, again, right in the business district of Hamilton. And this one we just listed a couple days ago. It's actually a power of sale opportunity. Speaking of power of sales earlier, it's a 0.6 acre corner lot in Beamsville, right on King Street. There's a 15-unit development just down the street, about 1.3 kilometers away. Tons of commercial uses. You would definitely need to go through a zoning change to get it to residential, but I would say a very, seeing the price and the opportunity could be a very good land banking opportunity with its surroundings and all the developments that are coming within earshot of it. So again, a bit unique. There is a structure, a 3,000 square foot restaurant plus residential component in the rear. So there's still the opportunity to revitalize it, gain rental income while you either sit on it or let zoning naturally change, or if you've got the resources to take it right to a zoning change with a lot of continuity in the area. So really, really exciting opportunity there from our team. And then last but not least, a client of ours who is looking to offload a standard duplex on the mountain, bring in great rents. Keep in mind, we'll talk about this next month in terms of the rental compression that we've been seeing in our area for sure. And definitely across Ontario, but it brings in $4,250 a month. Every unit that we advise on now, we pass off the utilities. That's just not the game that we play anymore. Obviously, we kind of rework the base rent just to make it make sense and ensure that we're not chasing, a tenant that might not fit the profile we're seeking. But AAA tenants, zoned for an ADU in the rear as well. And this one's available off market, completely redone by our friends over at 555 Construction Management. So some opportunities there, guys. I think this one's going to be kind of short and sweet before we end here. Exciting for us. This is personally our first development that we've just purchased here in Hamilton for our power team. We close on this pretty soon. So what we have here is a 16 unit, 8 stack town, 14,000 square foot development on a third of an acre lot in the lower west end of Hamilton between Main and King Street. Super excited obviously to get our hands on our first one here. And we've got some others in the pipeline, and that's just another kind of, another element to our business and helping people get into the development and the infill, the missing middle, if you will. So a lot of that's been going on in the last few months or so, especially in Hamilton and surrounding. And people, obviously we see builders that are pivoting from these condo developments into these PBRs. One thing that we're looking for is we're trying to stick to the townhouse look, something that will generate bigger units, and we don't have to go then and compete with, very deep pocketed builders who can just pivot on a dime and put out, 70, 80 units, wherever they please. So, we're focused on the infill stuff in a neighborhood. So super excited. We are seeking capital partners as well, but, always happy to chat about the opportunity. And again, just something that we've kind of added to our arsenal, and we've got some other sites that that we'll be looking at and that we can chat on the channel at some later dates. And last but not least, always a reminder of preferred vendors. We are 25% of the delivery. 555 Construction Management first and foremost. Our friends at Synergy Mortgage Group and Total Property Solutions. So just know that it's a well-oiled machine. I know we haven't been on the channel in a while, but it's just a little bit of a refresher for the viewers here. So that's it for me, Adam. A little bit shorter with today, but decided to just punch everybody in the mouth here in about 15 minutes.
Hey, man, I love that approach. And don't worry, you were missed on the channel for sure. We definitely missed you in the Hamilton market update, but everybody knows that you guys are missing it because you're out there doing business. It's great to see you guys doing those stacked townhouses, those infills. You guys obviously have a wicked team and partnership there with 555. And it's been fantastic to walk through those properties in person and just see what's possible when you have a great team working for you. If you guys haven't seen, you're watching at home, you haven't seen the ADU videos that we shot with 555 or any of those property walkthroughs, truly changed my mind in particular about additional dwelling units and what's possible. I know I had a certain thing in my mind when we went to go shoot that video, a certain expectation of what an ADU might look like, and especially in Hamilton. And then I was just mind blown, guys. They fit a incredible work product in a small space and make it feel natural and bright and very nice. And they have many different sizes and shapes and styles of these things. And it's great to just see that coming out now on a larger scale with these stacked townhouses. So great value add. One comment I did want to make before we wrap the video up was the price disparity I noticed there between your single families, your townhouses, your condos. What an interesting time to be in Hamilton when we're talking about the price difference on a mortgage of maybe $300 to $500, right? $300 to $500 gets you from a townhouse to a single family detached. I mean, that's unbelievable. Something's wrong there. Either the single families are heavily discounted right now, and that's where you need to go, or the townhouses are crazy high, but it's probably both. Like either the townhouses are too high and the single families are too low. What a great opportunity. I mean, I don't see any reason why you would ever try to be in a townhouse for, your own purposes without just spending $300 more for a single family detached. So interesting market stats today for sure.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, Adam. Like dealing with some current buyers here, it's it's been it's exactly that, right? Like when you're in that 800, 750 to 850 range, you're either looking at like, single family detached, 15 to 1800 square feet, but like built in the 60s, 70s on the mountain, versus like a podal townhouse that was built 7 years ago, right? And I mean, I would take the former any day of the week, but you hit the nail on the head. That's legitimately what's going on. And it's just more conversation with clients, right? In the buyer's market, people are like, oh yeah, it's a walk in the park. Like you've gotta do your homework, and you, as a buyer, forget the agent for a sec. Like you truly need to look at all angles, right? Like could you jump from a small home in a subpar neighborhood into a really nice duplex instead of a townhouse, right? Instead of living beside somebody with a party wall, you're living above them and they're paying you rent, right? So
yeah, and rents are strong. I mean, those were very strong rents you showed on the ones that are currently listed and rented.
Yeah, and those are today rents for sure. Like regardless of the regression that we've seen, it's we've made it work with like tacking on utilities, and it's worked to a lot of landlords' favors here, just to kind of recover those operating expenses.
Fantastic, Bill. Well, we always appreciate having you on the channel. I know I always get value out of these calls that we do, and it's always great as well to see your larger deals. I think that's an element that not everybody brings to this channel, but I know we do have an audience that's interested in that type of deal. So thank you so much for coming on today, and hopefully we'll see you back here next month.
Yeah, we'll be back. Thanks, buddy.